Hello students, welcome to BA 301 Week 7. We continue our study of entrepreneurial strategies, and this week our material comes from pages 74 to 95 of our course text. Welcome to our new virtual course format. You are still going to lead sessions in the future, but the way you'll do that is you'll just record a narrated PowerPoint, or today I'm using Screencast-O-Matic, and you'll present an overview of the information, plus give me 2 discussion questions that I can post for your classmates. We'll follow an asynchronous format in which you'll be able to view the materials anytime during the class week. I will hold virtual office hours on Tuesday from 1 to 1:50 via Zoom, and I'll show you that link here in a moment. So in our Moodle course, I have established a Zoom classroom link. If you click on that, you'll be able to meet with me virtually on Tuesdays from 1 to 1:50. Not required, but if you have any questions, you can meet with me then. Of course, you can always email me and I'll respond as quickly as possible. During these troubling days, there's a verse that keeps coming to mind that I want to share with you. It's from Joshua 1, verse 9. Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. As you read that, how might you apply that in the time that we're living as we deal with COVID-19? And secondly, how could you apply that in the future to your entrepreneurial journey? The author leads this section off by talking about failure, and he uses a Friedrich Nietzsche quote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." You might have thought that Kelly Clarkson wrote that line, but she actually adapted it from Nietzsche. And Nietzsche was a German philosopher, cultural critic, composer, and poet who had a profound influence on modern history. He lived from 1844 to 1900. Our author starts out by telling a story involving a competition that he was involved with, in which one of the participants had a failed pitch, and it was so frustrating for that entrepreneur that he ended up quitting. And he made the point, it's better to have a terrible pitch than a terrible idea, because you can recover from a terrible pitch. But if you've got a terrible business idea, it's very difficult to recover from it. So failure is inevitable, but how you deal with it determines your outcome. Think about a time when you failed. What did you learn from it, and how can you apply that in the future? For me, I remember my doctoral dissertation battle, and for about 8 months, I kept trying to get my dissertation topic approved, and I had one person on my committee who just didn't understand what I was doing. He was former military, and he didn't understand why entrepreneurial failure was a problem that should be studied. And of course, I threw all kinds of data and statistics and scholarly research at him as to why it was a worthy topic, but just could not convince him. And as I was going through this, one of the things that came to mind was a verse from 1 Corinthians 4. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. And I'm not going to lie, it got discouraging. I thought about just quitting the doctoral program because I was getting frustrated and not being able to get that approval. I felt like a failure. But through it all, I learned great perseverance to keep going. I kept throwing more data, more research at him. Finally, he ended up leaving the university. I got a new committee member, and my dissertation approval sailed right through. But I persevered. It led to being very mentally tough, just not cracking under the pressure. And then finally it led to a greater appreciation for people who have gotten their doctorate and all they've had to go through to get there. Our author went on to talk about partnerships and leverage. And he told a story about a partnership that he got involved in that really was detrimental. But the theme was to be careful with whom you partner. It's like a marriage. You do not want to partner for the wrong motives. You want to choose proper motives. If it will accelerate your cash flow, increase your sales, or reduce your costs, those are good reasons to partner. You should partner based on your strengths rather than on your weaknesses, and also leverage your company's goods or services or even your personal talents to win business. And he tells a great story on pages 78 to 80. In the next section, the author talks about how important an execution of an idea is. Basically, the premise is, ideas are a dime a dozen, but those who can execute their ideas will win the battle. And I like this quote from Sue Grafton: "Ideas are easy. It's the execution of ideas that really separates the sheep from the goats." What do you think about that? The author recommends focusing on executing your idea better than anyone else, and 3 tips there. Be quick. The speed of execution can separate you from competitors. Having a well-oiled team that works well together, that can be the difference maker. And he also recommends being frugal with your startup. Think of ways to execute your idea that don't cost your company a lot of money or interrupt cash flow. In the next section, the author talks about competition and the fact that every business has competitors. Even if those competitors are substitutes, they are still nonetheless competitors. For example, a movie theater's competitors are not just other movie theaters. It could be sporting events, it could be concerts, or any other form of entertainment in which the consumer would spend their money at that venue rather than at the movie theater. I also emphasize that competition can make companies better, and it can be fun. It's kind of like having a rival in sports, where you're always looking to beat your rival or always looking to do better. And making competition fun can be motivating to your workers and to your company. If little competition exists in your market, there may be good underlying reasons for that. And he listed 4 great questions to ask. Is there sufficient demand for your product or service? Is it so unique that, no one wants it? Is the market too small? In other words, there may be some people that want it, but is it a large enough market where you can generate enough income to be profitable? And then third, is the business profitable? Are there barriers to entry that are too great that need to be considered? Those could be regulatory barriers, or those could be just high costs to enter the market. So there may be reasons, if little competition exists, that the entrepreneur has to consider. With any business venture, it's inevitable that problems are going to occur. Those problems could be with customers, with suppliers, with employees. And what's important is how you handle those particular problems. He gave several tips: responding quickly and calmly, listening attentively and apologizing sincerely. Tell customers, or I would even insert, employees or suppliers, how you're going to address the issue with time frames. Provide updates. In other words, don't keep them in the dark, but keep them enlightened. And make sure that in the end that the customer is satisfied. The author ends this section by talking about the importance of having an exit plan strategy, and he leads with the Stephen Covey quote, "Begin with the end in mind." And even when you start your business venture, it's important to think about how you're going to exit the business. You may not know at the time, but some things to think about. Is your goal to sell it, maybe make a profit and exit? Do you want to transfer it to a family member, or maybe sell it to the employees? Or is your plan just to run it until it ends and you decide to dissolve the business? So that's an overview of this particular assigned reading. You have 2 discussion questions to answer. You'll need to post an initial response to each question by Friday at 11:59 p.m. And then you need to respond to at least 1 classmate post in each question by Sunday night at midnight. And I have posted within the discussion question required length and what I'm looking for as far as content and things like that. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Have a great week. And again, if you need anything, you can email me or visit my virtual office hours on Tuesdays between 1 and 1:50. Thank you.